We are the co-founders of Dipper.
Dipper is a technology platform that guides professionals of color to a better workplace, one review at a time.
Dipper is your safe space. It is the time for you to share your voice with a community that you are a part of. Visit us and join today at ourdipper.com.
Hello, everyone that is tuning and joining in. Welcome to ourdipper.com. We have a special guest here for you today, and I'm going to definitely introduce her. But how are you feeling? How are both of you feeling today?
I mean, it's Women's Month, so we should just, I guess we're supposed to like be loud and proud.
Right.
I'm feeling good. It's funny because there's so much going on, right?
Yeah.
In the world, but I think it's awesome to think about the women, and it's great seeing people recognize women in their lives and like the contributions they've made. And I think that I'm like, I want the same energy all year round.
Yeah. Every day we should be doing this.
Yeah, so it's great. But how are you doing?
Listen, I am doing great because we have our special guest today. And speaking of International Women's Month and women that are just really driving and pushing the needle forward every single day, it's amazing to have conversations with them. And that's how come I'm so excited to be speaking with Yasmeen Hamza today. But let me put some respect, right, on her background and her experience. Yasmeen is Womankind's CEO. Prior to starting her tenure as CEO in August 2020, she oversaw the entirety of Womankind's community programs division, which encompasses all programs and direct services. She's been working with both survivors of domestic violence on intervention and prevention over the past 15 years. She joined Womankind in 2012 as the Assistant Director of Client Services, and then was quickly promoted to Director of Client Services in 2014 before becoming CEO. She also received her Master's of Social Work from New York University. So welcome, Yasmeen. We are so excited to have you on today.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be with you both.
Awesome.
Great. And we love a lot. Sometimes it's just Netta and I up here. So we feel so blessed to have some company and learn a bit more about you. And I think I'd love to start off, if you could just tell us a little bit about a day in the life of the CEO of Womankind. Like, I love learning from other women who are executives, and just what's a day in the life like for you?
Well, I mean, I want to start off by saying, like, I'm super humbled and grateful and to have that privilege of being CEO of Womankind. You know, our organization really works to use the multidimensionality of our Asian heritage to work alongside survivors of gender-based violence on their path to healing. And really, my role as CEO is the responsibility of the overall health of the organization, whether it's our finances or our human resources or ensuring that our services have the resources that they need to be able to provide the critical support to survivors. Each and every day looks completely different. It comes with different challenges and opportunities. Some days are filled with both internal and external meetings where we're making decisions or where I'm actually learning more about what's happening. And some days are more administrative in nature. But each and every day is different, but all really working towards being able to support. I really do love Womankind and being able to support the overall health and well-being of the organization so that we really could continue the important work that we're doing as an org.
Yeah. And I love the work that Womankind does. And I'm so excited that Dipper is really kind of partnered with you all. And we're going to be having more conversations even next week. We're not ending this conversation. We're going to continue to learn about Womankind and all the work that leaders are doing and those that are a part. But my next question here is, What keeps you going working with survivors for the past 15 years? This has been a pretty long time doing it.
Yeah, I mean, when I first started back in 2003, a lot of my work was directly with survivors and providing direct services. And I continue to be marveled at the strength of the communities that we work with, and just survivors in general and community members in general, and that resilience and strength and their ability to continue kind of inspires me to be able to kind of continue to do the work day in and day out, even though my role has shifted a bit. Just remembering all of the different folks who I've encountered over the course of almost 20 years keeps me going. In addition, I am raising two young girls who have multiple identities that impact the way in which the world sees them and just the ways in which they, interact with the world day in and day out. And I want to be able to provide them with an opportunity to have, a, a better life than than my grandmother did, than my mother did, than I did, but also to have them see that their mom is continuing to work within community, that it's important to be part of the community and do things within our community to bring about shifts and changes. And then day in and day out, I work with amazing colleagues who I get to witness their dedication and passion for the work. And that really keeps me going. I wanted to call out two colleagues in particular, May and Hung, who have been working at Womankind for over 2 decades, providing direct services to survivors, and just watching them keep going and, their passion and commitment, and that hasn't changed since they first started, really fuels me to keep going day in and day out and do the work that I do.
Yeah, wow, that sounds so powerful. And as you said the word survivor, I never really kind of like mold on that word, but there's so much strength, right? Because there's pain, there's a level of healing you go through, there's trauma. But then on the outset, you've survived. You're still pushing and you're pulling through. And to have that community of people that are supporting you, like Womankind does, like the mission of supporting other women that are battered, that are going through these experiences, I think is so, so important. So I'm happy that we're having this conversation today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and in the last conversation we had last week, we focused a lot on the background of the organization and learning kind of the power that your mission is putting into different communities. And so, I mean, as CEO, I'm sure you have your foot in today, and you also have to have your foot into like tomorrow and much further down the line. So, where do you really see this all going and growing to?
Yeah, I mean, I think some of the key things that we're really working on and looking forward is, our world is ever changing. The needs of survivors is ever changing. And so what is it that we need to do to really deepen our services so that they're more holistic in nature and really able to help and support survivors in the different aspects of their life as they're really engaging on this journey? So what does that mean for us? How do we support survivors in different ways? But also, again, like I think Netta said, like recognizing the strength. Survivors bring so much strength, and what are ways that we can support them, not just in the direct service work, but on that path and journey of what they see for themselves in the future. The work that we do and that the staff do day in and day out is extremely difficult. So what are ways that we as an organization can strengthen how we do our work and how we support our staff to do that work? How do we build out our infrastructure so that we're spending, more time being able to provide the critical resources that survivors need? But I think lastly, the organization was born like, it was historical on how it was born, right? It was an organization that came about at a time when nothing of its kind existed. And a lot of those barriers that survivors faced back then may still exist and maybe show up in different ways. And so how do we as an organization that has been around for 40 years continue to use our voice to really break and shift the barriers, the systematic barriers in particular that our communities face, and you know, how do they get in the way of them being able to access services and support, but how do they get in the way of them being able to kind of live the ways in which they want? And so really kind of strengthening our advocacy efforts, whether it's pushing for policy changes, legislative changes, really advocating, you know, with community members to bring about changes, whether it's immigration, housing, addressing poverty as a whole. And so, you know, that's where we see ourselves moving in the next few years, and, you know, really kind of strengthening our efforts as an organization.
I love that. I love that there's a focus and on, hey, how do you all continue to empower the staff members there to support those that are survivors, right? So I think that that's really powerful. My question here is, you know, and I'll take a step back. There are a lot of people that are tuning in right now that are working for-profit organizations, and they're probably thinking, okay, we want to partner with Womankind. This is an amazing organization. How does Womankind work with the for-profit sector?
Well, I mean, I will start with saying, like, we can't do this work to really rise above violence and shift the narrative around gender-based violence and end gender-based violence in general without working with all of our communities. And that includes for-profit. And so, you know, it's really looking about building relationships. You know, as an organization, we have relationships with the for-profit world, particularly with their employee resource groups, whether it's partnering on a workshop really to talk to employees around what is gender-based violence, what is it that Womankind does, what is it that they can do on an individual basis if they, you know, a family member or a friend discloses that they're experiencing, and what could they do on a more macro level of really supporting the movement and as a whole. And so it's really building those partnerships, whether it's through educational workshops, also volunteer opportunities, both from, you know, a group volunteer opportunity, whether it's supporting in some of our annual events, to individuals coming to support our ability to run our 24-hour helpline, or, you know, accompany survivors to different appointments. You know, there are various ways, or, you know, also charitable giving, right? We need resources to be able to continue to do the critical work, to be able to support survivors holistically. It could be hosting a happy hour, or, you know, through like the employee, you know, matching for giving. And so it's a variety of ways, both from an individual individual level, or, you know, like a corporate level. But like I said, we really cannot do this work alone. It really takes a village. And, you know, it takes everybody working towards kind of that collective vision of rising above violence for change to happen.
Awesome. And we have a really good question right now. Do you collaborate with universities?
Yes, we do. You know, we do have a program that really works with colleges in particular, and how to work to address gender-based violence. And so we work both with student groups and universities. And again, I think our partnerships are vast in different fields because gender-based violence impacts everybody in different ways. And so how do we work together and collaboratively to address that?
Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you so much. I can't believe we're pretty much at time right now.
Me neither.
I'm like, it went so fast.
And I'm like, whoa, what happened? You know,
like we could listen to Yasmeen all day long.
I could.
Right? No, thank you so much for the work that you and your organization are doing. I think those survivors as well, right? Because sometimes it's hard to seek the help and the support that you need. So to have, again, I see Womankind as like such a beautiful community that allows people to kind of lean in, and then receive the support that they need. So I think that's so beautiful. Yeah. And I see here, Maria, we have an audience member that is tuning in. She's like, please contact me.
Yes.
Right. Definitely. So it seems like there's some synergy there.
Yes.
That's awesome. And that's what we absolutely love to see. For all of you that are tuning in, please head to Womankind right now, head to their website, learn more about the work that they are doing, get involved. And as always, head to ourdipper.com. OURDIPPER.com and engage with us. We want to hear your comments. What were your thoughts about this session? And how are you going to drive impact? How are you going to collaborate with Womankind?
100%. And I'm so glad that we, I guess, Netta really bringing us together with Womankind, because we think at Dipper, it's so important for us to offer this safe space and community for folks that are underrepresented, but going through challenges in the workplace, but that also can be at work or in life. So it's great that we've been able to collaborate for this March and have a really powerful series. And so thank you so much, Yasmeen, for joining us, and everyone who participated too.
Thank you both so much as well.
Absolutely. Take care.
Bye.